contains. It's the story that contains some of the most clever comedy, that I think when you look at all the different layers, anybody can take away so much from it. So I sincerely think you can teach this in school. You can trick those kids into like learning some real lessons about life and structure, even just filmmaking in general. What's good storytelling, right? Because I really do think it's a perfect movie in that way.
Well, Chris didn't like my Sinners review, so I've been put in the corner. We got a guest today, which Chris and the guest will be speaking on, Dumb and Dumber, starring Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels, directed by the Farley brothers. Chris, that's what you're wearing? It's a little tight, but I guess it's just a little bump, so no one's really gonna notice.
We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off! Probably one of my favorite Dumb and Dumber quotes. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? We are going to be talking about the 1990s classic film Dumb and Dumber, and with us is Canadian actor Ann Pirvu. Did I say that right?
You got it. Bravo.
Sorry, and I meant to ask, do you prefer actor or actress?
This is great. I'm a strong feminist, so let's do it up.
Perfect. Okay, so welcome to the show. Why don't you give us a quick rundown of who you are, why you're important to the Canadian film industry?
Oh my God, why I'm important in the Canadian film industry. I just love you. You just made me feel so special right now. So I'm very honored to be in your presence, guys. And to be honest, I love acting, and I've been in this wonderful Canadian industry for almost 20 years now, which I'm dating myself, but it doesn't look like that. Hopefully. I've had the pleasure of working with some genuine Canadian greats in my career, and Tom Green being one of them, in a little hilarious movie called Total Frat Movie. I've worked with the wonderful Mike Smith in Swearnet, who plays Bubbles, and is just an icon, a Canadian icon. And so to be able to come here and talk to you about one of my favorite movies of all time, who stars one of my favorite actors of all time, also Canadian, the incredible Jim Carrey, is an absolute pleasure. And to be honest, the reason why I'm double excited to be here is because this year I worked on a show called Poly is the New Monogamy, which is a new TV series in partnership with Hollywood Suites. It is a comedy, and good comedy is few and far between nowadays, but I actually had the pleasure of homaging a very hilarious scene from Dumb and Dumber, and it was unintentional. But as soon as I read the script in Poly, which I'm humbly nominated for a Canadian Screen Award for this year, I knew I had to incorporate some of that timeless, incredible, just beautiful comedy, that came out almost 30 some years ago in this incredible movie that we're going to be talking about today. So thanks for having me.
So, whoa. So, in your TV show, Polly is the New Monogamy, you managed to shoehorn a Dumb and Dumber homage? How does this even happen?
So, I have to tell you, I actually am very proud of this series because, like I said, comedy that you're really, really like, that's courageous and that's ballsy, as I like to call it, is kind of few and far between nowadays, right? And so when I came across this project, the brainchild of my amazing friend, Kat Hostick, it's a very female-centric sort of explorative journey about what it means to, navigate modern-day relationships as a 20-something woman, and about having more than one in your life in various ways. There's 3 primary storylines that the show explores. Mine has to deal with you know, touch on thinking about relationships as a business in a you know, interesting way. I juggle multiple sugar daddies in a very innocent way, and
the innocent sugar daddy way.
But what I'm trying to say is what I loved about Jim Carrey's work always is that he gives you permission, and he talks about this quite often. I'm a huge Jim Carrey fan. He gives you permission to explore the human condition in its extremes, you know, and openly accepting that, right? And I think that we'll talk about, you know, the characters in Dumb and Dumber, but I think that at the core and the heart of these characters is all about friendship and acceptance, self-acceptance, whether your choices are good or not, you know. And what I wanted to do with my character in Polly, which is she's the free spirit, you know, like you literally innocently tries to navigate mess in relationships, right? Because it is messy to juggle more than one at any time, but it's so true and so relevant to the ADD sort of like moving on to the next, right? Like options, what's out there in the relationship world in the 21st century, especially in New York City. Our show centers around like exploring, you know, all these different relationships in New York City and the fast pace of that world. And so what I found really exciting about that experience was the freedom and the permission that when you watch the show, my character gives you permission to be an absolute mess with acceptance and love and heart, you know. And gosh, the state of the world nowadays, I can't think of anything more relevant than to just embrace that aspect in and of itself. That's it. Oh my God, now I'm scared. These guys are staring at me and they're like, what is she talking? But please watch the show. And when you see the ridiculousness of what I mean. So the spoiler alert, in the final episode, the specific scene.
You're going to give away the whole show right now.
Yeah.
The homage has to do with a toilet experience.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And you
was
said,
thinking the dead bird. I was like, he ripped off a sugar daddy's pet, right?
Pretty bird. Yeah, can you say pretty bird? Pretty bird.
See, it's season 2. We have to explore that in season 2. There's so much more.
And so where can the audience see Polly is the New Monogamy right now? Hollywood Suites, did you say?
So in Canada, we are exclusively airing on Hollywood Suites on TV, and then it's available for streaming as well on their platform on Hollywood Suites. They're amazing partners, and you know, they actually were part of our CSA campaign and have supported us from the very beginning. So I'm immensely grateful for their help. And then in the US right now, we are on TUBI.
Fantastic. And yeah, so is this your first Canadian Screen Award nomination?
Yes.
And how do you what's that feel like? What's that feel like?
I feel immensely lucky, to be honest. It's such an honor. Some of the people in my category, you know, Megan Follows specifically, I got a chance to work with her years ago on a television series called Rain. And it's just such an honor to be in the company of just so much talent, you know, and just to be recognized for hard work.
I like it a lot.
I think that, you know, you're definitely not in this business for any kind of accolades. If you know, especially with comedy, right? Like it takes a while to get out there and to really do it for a living. And I think that it's just such a beautiful, beautiful experience to be recognized. And at the same time, I just hope that there's more amazing things to come from it. You know, no matter what, the nomination is like the win, the biggest win.
So you've also been on Working Moms, which is a pretty big CBC show. I believe it's a CBC show here in Canada. What's it like being on one of these shows that everybody, especially when it had first come out, everybody was watching? Like, were you getting recognized, like kind of in public, or did you kind of...
I wasn't a huge part of that show. You know, I just had a 3-episode arc in the 4th season. What I think is amazing, to be honest with you, and I started out by saying I had the pleasure of working with some Canadian greats. And I can genuinely attest to the fact that every single character in that show is a comedic genius. And, you know, I just being in their presence and having an opportunity to come prepared, but also improv and figure out, you know, you work in an environment where everyone is so detail oriented and wanting to create the best possible product, the best possible outcome, that it just feels like you're giving your best and you're inspired to create on, you know, not only in the moment, but also as you go along, you know? So it's just very inspiring to work with people at that level and to truly take pride in every scene, every line, like everything was just a work in progress. And I've taken that mentality with me in everything I do now, you know, because you have an opportunity to make something better until the very last second when someone says, cut, and we're out, you know? So that's what I love the most.
What other projects do you have coming up? Do you have anything that you want to pitch here before we get into the film?
Oh my God, I love you guys. Man, make a girl feel special. You guys happen to know my amazing husband, Christopher Giroux, I believe. I'm immensely proud of a project that we're about to launch. And it's a very different type of project. We're both filmmakers, but we have taken on a comic book series that we have created with our partners at Vertex Comics. And we're about to launch that, you know, very soon. And though I can't give crazy specifics, it actually ties into very beautifully what we'll be talking about today with one of my favorite films. Talk about homaging the things that you love. It has nothing to do with toilets, the comic book series, but it is a series packed with action and adventure and humor and friendship core. It's called Dr. Awesome Woman, and it's a superhero story, kind of in the vein of like Power Rangers. Ours are Galactic Rangers, and it's a story about discovering and embracing your inner gifts and talking about navigating the challenges of what it means to be a hero and acceptance of that, self-acceptance. And I think that, you know, what was very exciting is working with one of my favorite people in the entire world to sort of create this. But more than that, I think that it's our first time putting something out there into the world, even though we've collaborated on so many other projects, that is just so near and dear to our hearts. And I think the world needs more of. I think the world needs more of these types of positive, you know, inspiring messages, stories about like how to do the right thing and what that looks like, you know, in today's day and age. So I'm very passionate and excited about that. So that'll come out in May.
Yeah, well, once it comes out, or when you get your lead up, maybe we'll get both you and Christopher on the show, and you guys can pitch or talk more about that project once you're able to.
I would love that. Honestly, thank you for giving me the opportunity. This is the first time we've spoken publicly about it. So,
boom! You heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here first. Scott, do you have any other things? Do you guys want to talk about with Ann before we move on here? Ann with no E. It's coming up on CBC Gem.
Yeah, so I was just kind of circling back on the, you know, Canadian Screen Awards. What's that like finding out that you're nominated? Like, you bombarded with phone calls in the morning? Do you just find out when everybody else finds out? Is there like a ticker take parade down your street? What's that like?
So, thanks for asking that. It was honestly an experience that I'll never forget. I was born in Romania, and my family and I came to Canada when we were 12 years old, and I have family still in Romania. And 2 days before the nominations were announced, my family and I found out that my grandfather had passed. And so we literally got on a plane the next day, and it takes about like 17 hours to make it there, you know, realistically. We got there, and the morning of my grandfather's funeral, which again is the most bizarre thing I'm about to say. I usually have my phone off when I'm over there, just because you can use Wi-Fi. It gets very expensive when you're, you know, in Europe and traveling. But that day, because there were some deliveries coming in for the event, I had my phone on. And as the ceremony is starting, I start getting these messages. I see a message from my agent, which, you know, I love my agent and we talk all the time, but like, yeah, she knows I'm away and everybody knows I'm away. So message from her pops up, message from all these phone calls and texts and things. And I'm just like, you know, wow. My husband called afterwards and he says, honey, I think you were nominated for a Canadian Screen Award. And it's the most insane wave of emotion, because you want to be present with your family to say goodbye to someone who means the world to you. My grandfather had an amazing life and he was in the military and they had a 21 gun salute. And in my head, you know, there's this extraordinary thing that happens where I think, I'm a very spiritual person, I think it was meant, he was meant to be a part of it. You know, out of everyone in our family, I'm the only weird black sheep that does creative stuff. But my grandfather would sing and, you know, recite poems with me and do all these like the patriotic, you know, songs. And he was the artistic soul of our family. You know, he was kind of the origin of my interest in the arts. And for him, for that to happen at the same time was something that I genuinely will never forget. You know, so yes, it was a barrage of messages and it was a very strange feeling, you know, to navigate between both very low and very high emotions. And I think it was almost a gift. I think he was trying to say like goodbye, you know, I'm still here. I'm a part of this.
That's a wild story.
Yeah. I'll honestly never forget it. And I don't even know, you know, I didn't even know they were coming out. I thought we were still in the first round of voting. You know what I mean? So it was genuinely a surprise.
Well, I mean, good luck. I think they're in June is the ceremony?
May 31st. So there's about 4 days of awards, or 3 or 4 days of different awards, and it's a Saturday night, so we're gonna have to dress up a little, you know.
Yeah, because they'll do a red carpet and all that type of stuff as well, right?
Yeah, it's such an honor just to be nominated. Honestly, I'm so thrilled and so grateful. And for our project, Poly is such an indie series. It took 7 years to come to life, you know, and for that to be, you know, the work that gets recognized. I'm just so excited to just represent our team. You know, I'm just excited that hopefully, you know, more people watch this and maybe go, Hollywood Sweet. That sounds like a fun channel to check out, you know, and maybe we get another season. Cause I truly think that it's just this type of comedy. Like we just need more of it. We just, you know, need more.
So anything else before we get into the film?
No, I'm super proud of this, guys. Honestly, thank you so much for that chance to genuinely connect and chat.
All right, Scott, take us away, buddy.
Well, I don't know if there's much to say about Dumb and Dumber, right? I think it's like what I mean is I think it's like it's one of these, like, in my opinion, like rite of passage. Like it's initiation. It's like the weed of cinema, right? Like it's your gateway, like in terms of comedy, and then eventually getting to R-rated comedy, right? Like this is like the perfect one to like watch this and then sneak into like American Pie, like right after. Like I don't know anybody who has never watched this film. Like literally, I don't know anybody who has never watched this film.
I think you're touching on something so beautiful, which is universality, right? The type of accessible comedy that stands the test of time. And for me, that is one of the most inspiring and difficult types of comedy to do. If you watch Dumb and Dumber, right, there's a joke, like every other line, there's a joke. And the attention to detail, working at that level, is extremely difficult to do from a performer standpoint, you know, to be able to like just yes and, you know. And I think one of the most amazing things is that the reason why it stands the test of time, in my humble opinion, is that the villain in the story is kind of your capacity to reason. You know? Like, even though we embark on this like epic journey that involves like high society and like hired assassins and kidnapping and this like heavy, seemingly heavy, like, you know, material, you're cushioned by the reality that every one of us is the master of their own fate every step of the way. And your capacity to make choices is what differs. Right? And that, isn't that remarkable? Like, just as a concept in and of itself, and also like immensely hilarious, right? It's a joke. It's a cosmic joke. Like, I'm the master of my own fate. You know, like, what? In these beautiful, like the opening image and the closing image. I watched this movie like 50 times probably, and I never realized that it's a perfect story. You know, it's like he comes in the limo, he comes towards us and approaches that, you know, attractive lady and pretends to be something he's not. And then at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, right? You've got this massive bus that drives away, right, from them. And they're like, well, I guess, you know, maybe we'll catch our break too, right? But it's just the most, the most brilliant, you know, limo bus. Like there's growth, but there's no growth, right? For these characters, it's just like, it's so perfect. It's a cosmic joke.
So how often do you figure you watch this film? Like, do you watch it once a year or?
I think like probably I accidentally watch it once a year, but not intentionally, you know, but like I've probably seen it like 50 times and I'm definitely not 50. So I'm just, you know, when you're feeling bad or we're having like a tough break, or sometimes it just comes on TV, or I was on a plane coming back from my grandfather's funeral and it was on, and I was like, it like in the movie list on the plane, and I ended up watching like half of it just to have a laugh, you know, and feel human again. So yeah.
It's I was worried because I rewatched it specifically for the show, and I was worried. I'm like, oh man, I love this movie. It's so fun. And I was like, am I going to watch this? And like, if anybody who listens to the show knows that I can be kind of a prick about movies, I'm kind of a film nerd. And I thought, oh my God, I'm like, this is not going to hold up. And it's still so good. I mean, everything about it still works. The running time is great because it's like, I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes. So it's not too long. And they're just so funny together. And I'd love to know how much of this was just pure improv. Like Jim Carrey, just like, boom, like you said, yes and, yes and, yes and, yes and. Because it's hilarious. Like, hilarious. Scott, did it hold up for you or?
Yeah, it still holds up. But that was the thing. Like, I still think like there's still jokes in it that I catch after the fact, right? Like the joke about when he's wearing the ski outfit and he's like, "Oh, that's super revealing, but no one's gonna notice because it's a small bump." And I'm like, I was like, "Oh fuck!" And then you see him come up with like the sports shorts over it when he walks in, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" I was like, I never noticed that joke before until rewatching it now.
Well, and one of the things I noticed this time is when they're in the hot tub, I didn't even realize that Jim Carrey, Lloyd, is listening to the people have sex in the room beside him. And I'm like, holy like I thought because as the camera pans over, I thought they had like porn on or something like that. And there's him with the glass up against the window. And he's like, you know, it got cold beer, a hot tub, and paper thin walls. This is living, right?
Do you know? So I was watching like once, I don't remember when this was, like a making of, and they shot that scene in the hot tub separately. And it was one of the first things that they shot while making the movie, because at the time, Jeff Daniels had never, ever done comedy. So they were testing him. They were trying to see if him and Jim Carrey would work well together. So if you notice, specifically that hot tub scene, there's all these, like, it's his angle and then his angle and his angle and his angle. And then they do have like one wide shot, which they shot afterwards, because that was one of the test scenes to see if Jim Carrey thought Jeff Daniels was actually funny.
Yeah, because the studio did not want Jeff Daniels. They actually, Jim got $7 million for that film, and Jeff Daniels got $50,000. The studio was hoping that they would just lowball him. He'd be like, "Fuck that, I'm not doing this," and they could be done with the deal. But the Russo brothers, or sorry, the Farrelly brothers, not the Russo brothers, the Farrelly brothers and Jim Carrey both wanted Jeff Daniels. And Jeff Daniels, his agent was like, "This is gonna fucking kill your career. Why are you doing this movie?" Yeah. And I think one of the reasons this film really works is the whole thing is treated seriously. Like they play everything so straight, and that makes the best comedy. Like these characters are acting like how they would in real life, and the director treats the subject matter like as if he's shooting a drama. I mean, even their DOP is Mark Irwin from Toronto, who worked with Cronenberg a lot. So he did like Scanners, Videodrome, The Dead Zone, Youngblood, The Fly. He also did Kingpin, but he's also the DOP on Scream. Wow. Like this is like a really good cinematographer working with I think, is this their breakout film, the Farrelly brothers? I think this is their breakout film, right? As
this might have been.
And then Something About Mary was after that propelled them, I think. Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
This film made $247 million on a $17 million budget in 1994. That's an obscene amount of money.
Insane. And see, this is what I mean by self-acceptance and the themes. The themes were just like friendship and acceptance of capacity to reason that, the movie is called Dumb and Dumber, but I don't think that it was ever maliciously looking down on people who, are not as smart or whatever. I think it always had this heart and this, love of each other and self-acceptance for each other, right? Both of these characters, they do the most ridiculous things, but with such a smile and acceptance and an open heart, And that's remarkable to me because as human beings, we go through life, and one of the biggest universal fears that we have is self-acceptance, right? I'm not good enough. I don't belong, and that's a thing. That's a thing that everybody fears, whether you're, just a newborn out of the womb to into your 80s and 90s and beyond. So it's I think that that's so beautiful and so accessible and one of the things that makes this movie timeless. Do
you have a favorite scene?
Oh God, it's so hard. I quote, there's the Hooters, 275,000, oh, I have something better than money. These are IOUs, right? This one, 275,000.
That's a Lamborghini. You want to hold on to that one.
Why? It's so ridiculous. But they're so excited about it. Then, of course, there's what are the chances, of a guy like you and a girl like me ending up together, And then he goes, so you're telling me there's a chance? Because she just goes that blind optimism, I think, resonated with me so much as a 12, 13-year-old. I was always notoriously told when I came to Canada, right, that I was just too positive. And you watch too many Disney movies. You just see, the beauty and everything in the world. And I watched this movie and I was like, there's nothing beautiful about this. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happened to these guys, but they are optimistic through it, right? And it's you have extra gloves. Remember that scene where he's
yeah,
choking
we're
him?
In the Rockies.
It's duh. He had extra gloves and didn't share.
Hey, your hands are freezing.
Or when he's I gotta go pee, and he's just go, man. Just go.
Yeah, you're ooh, it's warm.
I like when they get pulled. I like you. I think that there's a lot of just fantastic one-liners and scenes and stuff. But when they get pulled over and it's yo, pull over. He's no, it's a cardigan or whatever. And he's like, killer boots, man. And then he drinks the piss. Give me that, you pumpkin pie haircut looking little freak. What about you, Scott?
The small cameos are amazing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. What about you, Scott? Did you
Well, I do think I enjoy the Jeff Daniels explosion scene because he was in 1994. He was in the two biggest explosions.
Oh.
Right? He has this one, but he also has the Speed.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I didn't realize, man, the 90s had some incredible projects. sometimes you're just like, is that ever going to be, was that the epitome of filmmaking?
But yeah, well, yeah, like I love the toilet scene, but also like how far it goes, like him actually like taking off that fucking toilet and then just trying to like spill it over the window. But yeah,
So you're gonna love my scene in Polly. If you ever get a chance, episode 6.
Well, now I'm just gonna watch.
I'm
I'm just gonna jump right to the end, and I'm just gonna watch that because I want to see this scene.
there's no context. You just fast
just like want to see the scene.
Yeah, you don't need it. It's just so ridiculous. But what's beautiful is that you have permission with an open heart, right, to be that ridiculous, because you might be in a situation and then you get these ideas, and then if you optimistically think yes and instead of like, oh God, why would you ever do that? The outcome might be interesting. You never know.
Scott or Ann, is there anything else you want to talk about this film? Like, I mean, who do you recommend it to? I think this is always important. If you have not seen this film, who should go see, not go see it, but watch it? I mean, I saw mine, I think, on like Crave.
Oh, wow. Honestly, I would recommend at some point in your life, everybody should watch this. Like if you can watch it in school, which would be hilarious. I think it's a wonderful lesson in, not judging a book by its cover is the best way that I think about it, because the title is Dumb and Dumber, but it's the story that contains some of the most clever comedy, that I think when you look at all the different layers, anybody can take away so much from it, So I sincerely think you can teach this in school. You can trick those kids into like learning some real lessons about life and structure, even just filmmaking in general. What's good storytelling, right? Because I really do think it's a perfect movie in that way, like I could break it down if you wanted, but I don't want to because I think it takes away some of the magic. But it is judge it by its cover. Don't judge it by its title, just watch.
Actually, one thing I meant to ask, actually, both of you. So there's a prequel and then there's the sequel. I have not seen either of these. Have you guys?
No, yeah. I've never seen either. Like I to me, I'm like, I don't think it's ever gonna get as better as this one. So them like in their 50s or whatever it is now, I'm like, I didn't want to watch it.
No, that's fair. And to be honest with you, it took me a very long time to watch the sequel as well, just because there's just such a magic in a bottle, lightning in a bottle, right? It's just like when you have a movie like that, you can't even plan for it to be that successful because, again, you can always strive to make the best project possible and put your heart and soul in it. But the way that it's received by audiences is never a given, So I reluctantly, with love in my heart, watched the sequel, and it was not nearly as amazing because I don't think you can replicate, that type of genius sometimes, and perhaps you shouldn't.
Well, and unfortunately, like a film like this now would often just go to a streamer. Like it may not even get a theatrical, right? So there is something, I think it would have been really cool to see this in the theater with like a full. I think that comedies, sort of like genre, they work in a totally different way when you're watching them with other people, right? So
absolutely. And like I said, the level of detail, like I'm convinced I don't even know if you guys know how long it took to actually film this movie, but in today's day and age, especially here in Canada, it is extremely rare to film something above and beyond a month long, right? I have a feeling they shot this a lot longer than a month, which gives you as a performer and as a filmmaker the opportunity to insert a lot of detail and thought and life into your story, right? And in the way that we make movies nowadays, again, if you can shoot past 2 to 3 weeks, like you're not doing a series, we're talking about TV, but like it's you're pretty lucky to get that time, and it has to be very, very efficient, so the level of thought that they put into this, I'm convinced, was unmatched, and it shows.
Well, and you have two, like, so Jim Carrey is one of the greatest comedic actors. I think that's pretty easy to say. And Jeff Daniels is an amazing, and so actually I was thinking about this. There's this scene at the beginning of the film when Jim Carrey is basically trying to get Jeff's character to like drive him to Aspen, and it becomes like a real dramatic scene where he's like, I'm just sick of being like a nobody and stuff. And they're playing it straight. So like they are doing real acting in that scene, and it's very touching, right? Because you have the caliber of performers, everything is just like firing on all the cylinders, to use a really bad cliche.
100%. You know what I mean? And Lauren Holly,
Oh, yes. We barely even talked about Lauren Holly.
What a talent, and I find it's first of all, how do you not laugh? Like, how do you not even like crack a little bit when you see the ridiculous, when they're at the bar and they're like doing that duel with like their ridiculous tuxedos and just like, tell her I'm handsome and then I have a rapist wit and like what? Like look at that with a straight face.
Nice hooters. The owls, nice hooters.
And her reactions are so minimalistic and so pointed, So I think that working at that level helps, like, you have to be so honed in and you have to be such a master of the craft that your calibration is very specific when you're working with people that are, they really, really, really know what they're doing when it comes to comedy, So I actually was so inspired by her performance because you can see the calibration. Like you can really see how she's like a part of the team, and they're all amazing. Like even like we were saying, even the smallest parts are just incredibly thought out,
She lives supposedly like in Oakville, Ontario. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, she lives like 45 minutes from all of us because you're in Hamilton, right? So
girl, hit me up.
That's crazy though. Like I was like, and she actually, she had a really solid career. Like she's done tons. She was just in Hot Frosty, which I think was shot. Was that shot in Hamilton?
It was shot in Ottawa, actually.
It was shot in Ottawa, okay.
And my husband and I actually know the team that worked with them on that, and I thought it was so charming, right? Like that's another great example of like, Netflix is now, venturing a little bit into the romantic comedy realm and trying to make some waves. But I thought she was brilliant. And to be honest, I didn't even recognize her at first. I was like, oh my God, that's because she looks fantastic at any age, but she literally looks like unchanged, which I aspire.
Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we let you go?
I'm good.
Ann?
No, this is fun. If you feel good, I hope like, oh man, it's so tough, because I love this movie so much. But if you feel like we covered sort of like what your show is intentionally trying to do, which is talk about film in an intelligent way.
Well, I don't know if we do that, but I think that your excitement for this film is going to definitely carry on to the audience. So yeah, if you haven't seen this film, I think you've gotten a good recommendation from Ann. So before we let you go, so your show, Polly is the New Monogamy, is available on Hollywood Suites, correct? And,
that's right.
And in the US, it's on
TUBI.
To be or not to be. And any other things you want people to check you out in until your new project comes out?
Yeah, please keep an eye out for Dr. Awesome Woman, an epic tale. An adventure, a supernatural adventure. And I have a few other projects that are coming up, but honestly, I would be honored if people ventured into the comic book realm a little bit and checked out our new comic book that will be a graphic novel soon. So very excited about that.
So just to confirm, so the comic is the comic book itself, like, is this able to be purchased or read as?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first 2 issues, there's going to be a special edition coming out at the end of May and available at the end of May. And then the entire novel will be available soon.
Okay,
so
and
please
then
check it out.
But you're also making a film or series version of this, or did I totally misunderstand that?
You totally missed.
This is why we got to clarify stuff. I'm not the smartest guy in the shed sometimes.
No. I honestly appreciate that question because the initial intention was for that to happen. So though I cannot speak to that, we are definitely open to expanding the universe, and we have plans to do that in an interactive way.
Where can someone purchase this comic?
it'll be announced at the end of May.
Oh, like you still don't even know what's going to be. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You're literally the first person that I'm talking about this to. So it's very exciting, but the plan is in motion, and we can genuinely talk about it. I just can't openly talk about it yet.
Well, yeah, whenever you have those release dates, make sure you let us know, and we'll make sure our audience is aware that they can go out and where to purchase this. Scott, do you have anything else for her?
No. Thank you so much. Your joy and your love of this movie is super infectious. It's awesome. Good luck on the Canadian Scream Awards.
Thank you so much.
And you just got to get your husband to start practicing, like holding the purse for the red carpet. Just be like, to the side, hold your purse.
He's adorable, and he's actually so excited for that. He's like, my favorite role is arm candy. So I was like, yes, let's do it. And you know what's funny? He was actually nominated for 2 Canadian Screen Awards last year. So we went last year and had the most amazing experience. I was beaming from ear to ear, just so proud of all his hard work. And we were joking. We were like, listen, this may never happen again, but whatever. So let's just have a great time. And wouldn't it be funny if like next year, you were nominated for something? And I was like, maybe we should joke around a little more.
This time you need to be like,
more jokes.
When you go this time, you got to be like, wouldn't it be funny if next year we win all these awards? Not saying I hope you do win this time. I hope that is still an option that's on the table.
I so appreciate that. Honestly, listen, comedy, we can all use a little more, let's go, universe. So
where can people find you? Where would you want them to find you, other than obviously going through your agent for casting?
Yeah, at Ann Pirvu. Very simple. Just my name, at Ann Pirvu. Instagram is where I'm most active, but I'm on Twitter and, I'm sorry. It's not called that anymore.
That's what we call it. I'm not calling it.
Sadly.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, me neither. Instagram primarily, I would say, and Facebook.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming out, and good luck at the Canadian Screen Awards.
Thank you both tremendously. You literally made my Sunday. This was the best chat ever.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Take care. Bye.
Well, Scott, that was a pretty good little interview.
Yeah, it definitely was. No, it's super infectious. Like her love of this film is. I wish she had that for Sinners. And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com.
Yet again, I forgot to tell our guest not to leave right away. I'm so bad at this.
See, that's what happens when you put me in the corner, man. Baby, just like Scotty, or just like Baby, Scotty doesn't go well in the corner.
Yeah,
and I need Patrick Swayze to dance and shimmy to me.
So it turns out that the world is not loving my review of Sinners. They are not happy. They are not happy with me over here. So I guess so far you're winning this round, my friend. You're winning this round. Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.